Hey, I'm Andrea. I'm an artist in the Seattle area and I've been working with paint pouring for several months now. And I want to take you through creating one of these paintings from beginning to end in a series of videos that I shoot just kind of quick and unedited here in my studio with my phone. So I'll take you to what I'm working on right now. I'm going to make a 12 by 16 sized poured painting on canvas, and I've got some colors laid out. And one of the colors I know for sure that's going to be in my painting is this phthalo turquoise. And I'm doing a whole show around this color, and as you can see, it's pretty dark. And this is a little bit problematic because I have to add quite a bit of white to this to do anything really interesting. And to figure out the range with this color, I made myself a little chart where I tried to see how many different tints I could make using titanium white on this side and buff titanium on this side. And as you can see here, it doesn't take long for the phthalo turquoise to actually go dark. It has a very long mid-range. And what that means is that if I want to work with a tint of this color, I have to start with white and add the tiniest amount that you could ever believe to get a very light tint. Like here, I think this was something equivalent to like maybe a toothpick dipped in the paint and then mixed with the white. It's that subtle. It's a very staining color, and that's the reason why it doesn't take much to go a long way. There's not a lot I can do with it straight out of the jar. You can see there's not much difference between phthalo turquoise and black. So I really almost always have to look at my tint chart here and figure out how much white I'm going to need to add. And that has some consequences when I'm getting ready to pour that I'll talk about in a different video. So I know the phthalo turquoise is going to be in. The next part is figuring out what's going to go with it, because I don't really want to do a monochromatic painting. Because of that color being so staining and being kind of difficult to get a range of tints, I want to go ahead and mix a different color with it. So one of my options is to go straight across the color wheel. And this is my color wheel from art school like 12, 13 years ago. Still use it all the time. Very useful tool. So if I go straight across and do a complementary color relationship, I can get something really dramatic. And I'll show you an example of one that I made using that complementary relationship. I don't want to do that today though. So what I want to do is do something a little more relational, I guess. So I'm going to do an analogous color scheme for this painting. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to just kind of go in this range. So I've selected a green gold paint and a chromium green oxide, which is the whole reason actually I'm doing this analogous color scheme, because I just got this color and I love it. And if you put these together, you can see if I were to put them on the canvas straight out of the jar, they wouldn't be that interesting. So in order to see what was available to me, I made myself another tint and shade table using all the colors. So this is the green gold, this is the chromium green oxide, both with titanium white. I tried it with titanium buff because I do like how that can mute the color just a little bit. And then I did a couple of things where I mixed the phthalo turquoise with the green gold and the chromium green oxide. And I looked at all the colors in this range and I ended up choosing 4. I went a very light tint of the green gold. I went with kind of a medium-ish tint of the chromium green oxide. I did a tint of the chromium green and the phthalo turquoise together. And then I did a little bit darker tint of the chromium green oxide and phthalo turquoise. So this is the colors that I've mixed up. And I'm just going to rearrange them here. And you can see I've got a little bit more range. And because I want to do something a little playful while I'm doing this video series, I also mixed up a pretty dark tint of phthalo turquoise and the chromium green oxide. And I made some crackle paste with that and applied this to the canvas. And I'm giving this about an hour, hour and a half head start before I start pouring any paint around it, just so it can set up a little bit more. So you can see my the background of my canvas is gray, and that is the gesso that I use. I like a gray gesso. And this is, I think it's Tri Art Gesso Sludge, which is my favorite one to use. So I'm going to let these sit for about an hour to let the bubbles come out of the paint. They've already been mixed with the pouring medium. In the next video, I'll talk about some specifics around the mixing because there are some key points to be made there that can really determine whether or not the painting is going to work or not. And then after that, I'll get into the pouring process.